What if someone is in love with you and you have no idea? Let that thought sink in. Have you ever stopped to consider that right now, yes, in this exact moment, someone might be silently loving you from afar? It sounds impossible, maybe even absurd. But psychology tells another story. Silent love leaves traces, invisible footprints on the path between two souls. And most of us? We never notice them. Here's the unsettling truth. 90% of people who love in secret never say a word, not a whisper, not a hint. Because people don't always say they love you. They show it. But the signs are so subtle, so quietly stitched into daily life. They often dissolve before the conscious mind can grasp them. And the tragedy, many love stories never even begin, because one of them failed to see what was there all along. Carl Jung, one of the brightest minds in modern psychology, devoted much of his work to understanding these hidden emotions, repressed feelings, unspoken desires, and the mysterious ways they surface. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you 13 signs that someone may be secretly in love with you, based on Jung's groundbreaking discoveries. And the last sign will show you exactly how to turn that invisible connection into something real. Ignore these signs and you may miss the doorway to something truly life-changing. So stay with me until the very end. Has it ever happened to you that someone admired you deeply, complimenting things about you no one else ever notices? Or maybe the opposite. Someone always teasing you, picking on you, but somehow never quite staying away. There's a reason behind that behavior. When we like someone, but can't admit it, the mind finds secret passageways to express what the heart tries to hide. This is the first sign of silent love. Carl Jung called it psychological projection. It means someone may be reflecting feelings onto you that they haven't even fully accepted in themselves. And it reveals itself in two powerful ways. The first is idealization. They put you on a pedestal. Your smile, your voice, the way you think, even how you hold a cup or brush a strand of hair behind your ear. But silent love doesn't always speak in compliments. Sometimes it hides behind jokes, teasing. They challenge your ideas. They disagree with you just for the sake of it. They mock, but only you. A paradox, because teasing becomes a disguise. A mask love wears to stay unnoticed. They might even talk about you when you're not there. Repeat your phrases. Show interest in things you love. Mention your name without even realizing. Because repressed love doesn't die. It hides in the smallest gestures. If someone treats you differently than they treat the rest of the world, through admiration or irritation, look closer. There might be a silent, "I love you," hiding behind every glance. Think about it. Can you name someone who acts like that around you? The second sign of silent love lives in contradiction, in gestures that pull you close, then push you away. Have you ever noticed someone who drifts between presence and distance, between intensity and retreat? This might be a heart caught between longing and fear. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, described this push-pull dynamic as ambivalent attachment. The person craves closeness, but fears rejection. Carl Jung took it further. Strong, repressed emotions never disappear. They re-emerge unpredictably. Silent love dances between closeness and retreat. They reach out, they pull back. They want you near, but don't know how to bear the risk. And this retreat isn't random. It happens only with you. But here's what's key. They always return, because repressed love doesn't fade. It reshapes itself. If someone is always leaving, only to find a way back to your orbit, that may be their quiet confession. The third sign of silent love, it's hidden in small, almost invisible gestures. The ones that whisper, "I see you," even when the words never come. Picture this. You're drained, coming home from a long, soul-heavy day. And before you say a word, someone's already solved a problem for you, eased your burden, anticipated your need. That's not random. That's love. Silent, unspoken, but very, very real. You say thanks, but the person brushes it off. "Oh, it was nothing." Just a silly little thing. But was it, really? Silent love often doesn't come in the form of grand declarations, but rather in small acts of care that go unnoticed. This person might not have the courage to say how they feel, but they show it through actions. Tiny favors, quiet help, efforts that seem spontaneous, but reveal much more than words ever could. It could be that coworker who takes on a task without saying anything, just to lighten your load, or a friend who remembers exactly how you like your coffee and brings it to you for no apparent reason. Maybe it's someone who subtly looks out for you, not with heroic gestures, but by making sure you don't go through tough times alone, by caring about your well-being without ever needing to ask. Jung explained that repressed feelings manifest through actions when we can't verbalize them. And, in the case of silent love, those feelings show up as invisible sacrifices, made not out of obligation, but because the person simply can't help but take care of you. What's curious is that the person doing this usually doesn't want recognition. If you notice someone always putting your comfort ahead of their own, without drawing attention to it, it might be the only way they found to say, "I care." The fourth sign of silent love isn't just in gestures or words. It's in the events happening around you. Have you noticed how some people seem to cross your path over and over again, as if fate insists on keeping them in your life? If someone keeps showing up by chance, if your conversations flow effortlessly, if coincidences keep piling up, it might be a sign that something deeper is connecting you. These meaningful coincidences, what Jung called synchronicity, can be a sign that there's something bigger at play. In silent love, this can show up in subtle ways. You think about someone, and suddenly they message you. You bump into each other in unexpected places. You find out you share similar tastes, stories, experiences. Often this synchronicity isn't just chance. It happens because the other person is unconsciously seeking your presence. Even if they don't admit how they feel, they might be finding excuses to be near you, or connecting with the things that matter in your world. Another important detail is the energy between you when you're together. When there's repressed love, the other person's presence can create an invisible tension, a mix of comfort and restlessness, like there's something in the air. Long silences that feel meaningful, glances that linger a little too long, that unmistakable feeling of something's going on here, but no one puts it into words. If it feels like someone is always crossing your path, if coincidences are frequent, if your connection feels too strong to be random, pay attention. Maybe the universe is trying to show you something that neither of you has dared to say out loud. Yet, the fifth sign of silent love isn't in what's said, but in the things someone does without realizing. The body often gives away what the mind tries to hide. When someone has deep feelings but tries to suppress them, tiny details in their body language start revealing the truth. The catch is, these expressions are hard to control. They come straight from the unconscious. Have you ever noticed someone staring at you just a bit too long, then quickly looking away when they realize they've been caught? Or someone subtly leaning toward you during a conversation, like they're being pulled in by your presence? These are classic signs of a strong emotional connection, even if the person never puts it into words. Other common signs include a change in voice, slight nervousness, a spontaneous smile when they see you, or gestures like fixing their hair, straightening their clothes when you're near. Accidental touches, like brushing your hand for no reason, might also reflect that hidden affection. According to Jung, the unconscious mind is always speaking through the body. That means even when someone tries to hide what they feel, their body finds ways to express it, because the human body doesn't know how to lie. If you notice someone acting differently around you, if their eyes say something they can't quite put into words, it might be a clear sign that there's silent love in the air. Because when feelings are real, they always find a way to show up, even if it's through the subtlest of gestures. The sixth sign of silent love can show up unexpectedly. Right in the middle of a casual conversation, when someone's name comes up, for no obvious reason. Has it ever happened that someone brings up your name repeatedly, even when there's no real reason to? Or mentions you in conversations you're not part of, like your memory just pops up on its own? That might be a sign that this person thinks about you more than they realize, and without meaning to, they let it show. Carl Jung studied how the unconscious can influence our speech without us having control over it. When someone represses a feeling, the mind finds ways to express it indirectly. In the case of silent love, this can happen when the loved person's name slips out, almost like a constant echo in the speaker's mind. Another interesting detail is the tone of voice used when saying your name. Often the way someone says your name carries a subtle emotional weight, a softer tone, a more attentive inflection, as if that name holds something special. Sometimes there's even a tiny pause before they say it, a flicker of awareness about what's really going on. And if this person tends to tell stories where you always seem to appear, even when the context has nothing to do with you, it might mean that your presence holds a special space in their thoughts. We think and talk more about what impacts us emotionally, even without noticing. If someone around you brings you up often, if your name randomly pops up in conversations, or if there's a certain glow in their eyes when they talk about you, it could mean that this silent love is already more visible than they realize. After all, when someone truly leaves a mark on us, it's impossible to keep that feeling completely hidden. The seventh sign of silent love appears in those moments when someone tries to hide, but can't help showing a bit of discomfort when you mention or interact with other people. Even without admitting their feelings, someone secretly in love with you might show subtle signs of jealousy. It's not about dramatic scenes or intense possessiveness, but rather discreet reactions, slight mood shifts, or seemingly harmless comments that actually reveal inner tension. Have you noticed someone getting quieter or more distant when you enthusiastically talk about someone else, or someone who makes subtle jokes, tries to downplay, or even sarcastically comments when you mention a possible romantic interest? That could be an unconscious way of expressing jealousy without having to confess their feelings. Repressed emotions don't disappear. They show up in unexpected ways. In silent love, jealousy can show itself through body language, like crossed arms, avoiding eye contact, or a shift in tone when the topic involves other people. It can also be mild discomfort hidden behind a joke or a comment that seems innocent, but carries emotional weight. Another thing to notice is how that person behaves in relation to your interactions with others. Someone who likes you but doesn't want to show it might subtly try to shift your attention, change the subject, or even highlight their own qualities, as if they're trying unknowingly to stand out from the crowd. These small, hidden signs of jealousy are some of the clearest indicators of silent love, because no one feels that kind of discomfort for someone who doesn't matter to them. So if you notice someone reacting differently when you talk about someone else, pay attention. What seems like just a random response might actually be a reflection of a feeling they haven't had the courage to admit. The eighth sign of silent love doesn't come from words, gestures, or glances, but from something far subtler and more mysterious: dreams. Have you ever dreamed about someone over and over without any apparent reason? Woken up with the feeling that this person had somehow been in your thoughts, even though you haven't talked in a while? Some cultures believe that when we dream about someone, it's because they're thinking intensely about us. And science is beginning to suggest there might be more to these nighttime encounters than pure coincidence. Carl Jung believed we are all connected by a collective unconscious, an invisible field where memories, feelings, and emotions flow between people. That means when someone feels something very strongly for you, that energy might somehow cross that subtle connection and appear in your dreams, as if the energy of that silent love found a way to reach you. And this isn't just spiritual belief. Research into brainwaves and energy resonance suggests that thought is a form of vibration. And when someone focuses intensely on another person, that energy might be transmitted subtly. So if you keep dreaming about someone for no clear reason, It could be because they're sending you that energy through the invisible. Another curious detail, those dreams often don't have a clear message. They're not about romantic scenes or big love confessions, but rather about feelings, emotions, presence. You might dream of that person in completely ordinary situations, but what matters is the emotional impact the dream leaves when you wake up. If someone keeps showing up in your dreams, it might be because there's a connection between you that goes beyond what the eyes can see. And maybe that's the purest form of silent love, an invisible bond that shows itself in the moments when we're most open to feeling it. The ninth sign of silent love is revealed in the subtle gestures someone makes without realizing it, as if unconsciously, they're mirroring you. Have you noticed someone starting to talk like you, using expressions you often say, or even picking up certain habits that are part of your daily routine? That might not be just a coincidence. It could be the result of a psychological phenomenon called unconscious mirroring. When we like someone, our brain activates a natural imitation mechanism that makes us subtly copy their gestures, posture, and even tone of voice. Deep down, it's a way of trying to create a deeper connection, even if it's not intentional. Jung believed that in the unconscious, we connect with those who have a strong emotional impact on us. Mirroring is one of the most instinctive ways humans show affinity and engagement. It's how we naturally try to get closer to someone we care about. And what's most interesting is that this behavior doesn't happen with just anyone. If someone mirrors your posture, touches their hair when you do, or repeats your expressions, it's not random. It's their unconscious mind trying to build a stronger bond with you. And mirroring isn't just physical. It can show up in opinions, in interests, even in how they see the world. This person might start liking things you like, showing unexpected alignment with your thoughts, or even changing their opinion just because you think differently. If you notice someone around you suddenly acting like you, paying attention to the little things, and incorporating bits of your style or behavior, take note. Silent love often doesn't declare itself in words. It reflects back at you, like an invisible mirror. The 10th sign of silent love shows up when someone hides their true feelings behind a mask. Not everyone knows how to handle intense emotions. For some, liking someone without knowing if it's mutual can be scary. And the unconscious response is to build a shield for protection. This shield can take many forms: distant behavior, over-the-top joking, or even a show of indifference. Jung referred to the persona as the mask we wear to adapt to the world, often hiding our true emotions. In silent love, this mask can appear as cold or calculated behavior meant to disguise what the person is really feeling. Have you ever noticed someone acting differently around you? Maybe they become overly playful, always cracking jokes to steer away from serious conversations. Or maybe they act indifferent, as if they don't care at all, when deep down, they care way more than they'd like to admit. Another revealing sign is emotional inconsistency. This person might be fully present and engaged in one moment, and then suddenly cold and distant. That push-pull pattern is often an unconscious way of keeping their emotions in check. The fear of vulnerability leads many people to mask silent love with sarcasm, irony, or subtle provocations. But beneath that emotional armor is someone afraid of being too exposed. If someone around you always seems to hide behind a persona, whether through humor or calculated coolness, it could be a clear sign that what they really feel for you is far deeper than they're letting on. The 11th sign of silent love appears in the small challenges someone creates to test your reactions, without even realizing they're doing it. When someone feels something strong, but doesn't want or can't admit it, the unconscious finds subtle ways to seek answers, without taking emotional risks. One of the most common ways this happens is through emotional testing. Little situations that seem casual, but are meant to gauge your interest. Has anyone ever teased you just to see how you'd react? Asked for your opinion on relationships, loyalty, or some hypothetical scenario, just to hear your take? Or maybe they've brought up a fake crush just to see if you get jealous. These are classic signs of someone trying to figure out where they stand. without putting their own feelings on the line. For Carl Jung, our unconscious is constantly scanning for signals in our environment to validate what we feel. In silent love, a person might set up these subtle tests to see if you feel the same without ever having to ask. Another common kind of emotional test is light teasing, playful banter, or indirect comments meant to provoke a response. It might be a disguised compliment, a joke about how the two of you would make a good couple, or small hints left hanging in the air. These tests might seem insignificant at first glance, but if they keep happening, they're a strong sign this person is trying to read your feelings without having to come right out and ask. If you notice someone often creating situations to observe your reactions, asking indirect questions about relationships, or behaving in a teasing, slightly provocative way, it could be a strong indicator that silent love is there, just waiting for a sign before it's revealed. The 12th sign of silent love doesn't show up in direct words. It reveals itself in someone's constant presence during your most vulnerable moments. Love doesn't always express itself through big gestures or bold declarations. Often it appears in the most subtle and powerful way possible, by being there, even without being asked. Have you noticed someone who always seems to show up when you're having a tough time? Maybe it's a coworker who senses when your day has been rough and steps in to help, quietly. Or a friend who offers comforting words even when you haven't said anything. Or someone who, without saying a word, finds ways to lighten your emotional load. Carl Jung believed there's a deep force that connects us, often beyond rational explanation. When someone loves you in secret, this connection can manifest as a protective instinct, a desire to be there when you need them most, even if they can't, or won't, admit what they feel. This silent support can take many forms. Genuine concern hidden in casual questions, encouragement when you're doubting yourself, or small, unnoticed acts of kindness. Sometimes this person might act like it's no big deal, saying they're just helping or doing what anyone would do. But the truth is, not everyone cares that much. The difference between a normal gesture and a sign of silent love lies in consistency. Is this person always there, even when they don't need to be? Do they notice things about you that others don't? If the answer is yes, then that care might go far beyond simple friendship. Love doesn't always declare itself in words. Sometimes, it hides in the moments when someone chooses to stand by your side, even when you didn't know you needed them. The 13th sign of silent love isn't in someone else's gestures, words, or actions. It's inside you. Many times we try to find logical explanations for feelings that simply can't be explained. Have you ever had the unshakable sense that someone likes you, even without any clear evidence? As if something in the air, in the way that person looks at you, in how they behave around you, gives you a certainty your mind can't prove, but your heart already knows. Carl Jung believed that intuition is a deep form of knowledge, one that goes beyond rational logic and connects directly to the unconscious. That means even before you consciously recognize the signs of silent love, your intuition might already be picking up on that energy. This happens because human beings are far more sensitive than they realize. Tiny shifts in tone of voice, facial expressions, breathing patterns. These can all be perceived unconsciously, creating that inexplicable feeling that there's something more between you and that person. If you feel that certainty inside you, if you sense something different in the way they treat you, if the connection seems bigger than anything words could explain, maybe it's because the love is already there, waiting, quiet, hidden, but alive. Silent love can hide in glances, in gestures, even in dreams. But in the end, we always know when it's there. If you feel like someone loves you in secret, it could be your intuition picking up on something their mind hasn't yet had the courage to admit. Silent love is one of the most intense, and at the same time, one of the most frustrating experiences we ever go through. It lives in the details, in the pauses, in the gestures that seem small but carry the weight of everything unspoken. So now what? What do you do with that knowledge? Ignoring the signs might mean missing the chance to live something real. Because how many love stories never happen? Just because one of them was too afraid to take the first step? On the other hand, recognizing this love and doing nothing about it can turn into a quiet burden. Staying stuck in uncertainty creates expectations that may never become reality. So the question is it worth keeping that feeling in silence forever? If you've seen these signs in someone, maybe it's time to look beyond the surface, to notice what's behind their actions, to listen between the lines. And who knows, maybe create the moment where that feeling can finally be brought into the light. It doesn't have to be a big confession. It could be an honest conversation, a gesture that says more than words, or simply offering the space for them to feel safe enough to open up. Love was made to be lived, not just imagined. If this video made you reflect, leave a comment saying, "Silent love always finds a way." And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video to keep exploring deep topics about human connection.